This is the morning brief from the Economic Times.
Thank God it's Friday. Not just another Friday, it's different. It's lights, camera, action, all over again. Daniel Craig's No Time to Die lit up screens last week and raked in rupees 2.25 crore on day one at the box office. The matinee show, the front row, the mega popcorn bags, all are back, or about to make a comeback in some cities. But can the Friday magic return? As big picture cinema returns after months of shutdown, we delve deep into the dynamics of the silver screen, what's changed, and if OTT or over-the-top streaming platforms will continue to hold sway over movie binging as we know it. What impact will reopening of theatres have on OTT viewership? After all, it's Netflix, Prime Video, Hotstar and other such platforms that have kept you and me entertained all the while theatres were shut, isn't it? I'm Ratna Bhushan and you're listening to the Morning Brief. Joining me is my colleague Diya Reiki, an avid movie buff herself, and a packed set of guests, including PVR Joint MD Sanjeev Bijli, Siddharth Roy Kapur of Roy Kapur Films and President of the Producers Guild of India, Baradwaj Rangan, renowned film critic and editor at Film Companion South, and ET's assistant editor, Gaurav Laghate, all of whom are the last word in the entertainment industry sweepstakes.
Dry martini.
Oui, monsieur.
Wait. 3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka, half a measure of quinoa lily, shake it over rice, and then add a thin slice of lemon.
But first things first. Hi Diya, did you manage to see No Time to Die on the big screen? How was the experience?
Hi Ratna. I didn't realize up until this point that the last film I watched in the theatre was Malang, which was in Feb 2020. But since it was Aditya Roy Kapur, I had to dart to the theatre first day, first show. Well, as for what you asked, I have warmed up to Daniel Craig as James Bond and thoroughly enjoy the experience of watching a Bond movie in the theatre. But somehow I just can't get myself to go to theatres just yet. However, I did manage to catch up with some people in Chennai who watched the Bond film and other films like Shang-Chi and the Vijay Starrer Master to tell me what it felt like to be at the movies again.
Hi, my name's Anuj. I recently watched the Bond movie and I think it was a great send off to Daniel Craig. It was definitely exciting for me because I think after a year and a half, I went back to a theater and I definitely was missing the Dolby Atmos surround sound, the popcorn. So it was a great experience. They've done enough to make sure that some COVID restrictions are maintained. Would I go back to watch these movies? Definitely, yeah, if the same type of rules are set.
Hey, I'm Arun Sundar. I'm a digital marketer and a massive film buff. I definitely loved watching movies in theaters again. Theaters are always there to stay because we are socially interactive beings and we do need community watching. Like how in around the world it's predominantly about superhero films that gets shown in the theaters and more drama related content goes on to OTTs. In our country, it's going to be superstar films being telecasted on theaters, and there is going to be a completely different scope of actors and directors who are going to be focusing on OTT.
Hi, this is Ramani Agarwal, and I went back to theaters after a year and a half, and I watched the movie Master. It was a jam-packed. Nothing in the theaters is the same or was the same without the popcorn, the food, the comfort of sitting close to your friends and family and having a gala time. I did miss that, but I am very excited to go watch the Bond movie No Time to Die because who would want to miss Daniel Craig and Rami Malek for that matter on a huge screen? So I might just go back to the theaters for this one movie And maybe if there is any other animated movie.
We are now joined by PVR's Sanjeev Bijli. Hi Sanjeev, thank you for joining us. Sanjeev tells us while revenge shopping and revenge travel are the in thing to do, so is revenge multiplex binging.
Obviously, there's a pent up demand, and what people are terming as, or the economists are terming as, there is a lot of revenge shopping, revenge consumption, and even revenge travel, as you mentioned. And I don't see a reason why the same consumption pattern will not happen at the multiplexes, at the cinemas. It is already happening. We've seen some green shoots happen. Last time, also in January, the movie got released, which was a Tamil film called Master. Even that did about 200 crore rupees box office, and that's just a regional film which is actually contained only in Tamil Nadu and perhaps certain other states outside in the south. And after the second lockdown has opened in August this year for us, we've opened last and we still haven't opened up fully yet. Movies like Shang-Chi have done extremely well. And now last week, the new James Bond film, No Time to Die, which got released on Thursday, is also done very well. So I do see people coming back to the cinemas now, and they will be consuming their favorite form of entertainment in a way that they used to be prior to the pandemic.
So you're a British spy. Do you have a name?
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Previous Bond films like Spectre and Skyfall have set the box office ringing in India. Skyfall, in fact, witnessed the second biggest opening for a Hollywood film in India when it released in 2012.
But there's more to this than just the Bond film. Cinema stocks have lit up. Shares of PVR and Inox Leisure have surged on the stock market after the Maharashtra government announced reopenings of cinema theatres in the state from October 22nd. But can theatres sustain the long haul? Or is this initial euphoria that may fizzle out? Joining us is Siddharth Roy Kapur, someone who needs no introduction. Here's what Siddharth has to say about what changes for filmmakers and producers now that theatres are reopening.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
I think our lives have changed over the last 18 months in so many ways, and especially in the ways that people consume entertainment. So it'll be very interesting to know how things go with theatres opening up, well, if not completely, then at least in the state of Maharashtra now, so that movies can start releasing on an all India level. In the last 18 months, people have gotten used to watching content in the comfort of their homes, on their mobile screens. Even for those who came to the party late, they were thrust into this situation of having to adopt new technologies to be able to consume content because of the pandemic. So I guess a lot of content creators today are wondering about to what extent people will come back to the cinemas. I personally believe that the experience of watching a film in a theatrical venue has not faded at all. And in fact, I think people are dying to get back to social environments where they can interact with other people, where they can enjoy experiences that bring them together with other people. What might change is the kind of movies that work theatrically. Films which are more cinematic, which are larger than life, which have big stars in them, things like horror or slapstick comedy genres like that, which are much more fun when enjoyed with a bunch of people. Those might be the ones that work better theatrically. And light dramas, comedies, more intense, more intimate films might be the ones that find themselves on TV or on platforms. But time will tell. I think it's a very exciting time. It is also a very intriguing time because I think everyone's dying to know how things play out.
We spoke to ET's in-house ace entertainment reporter Gaurav Laghate to get a feel of when cinemas will see profits and when things will return to being in the black.
That's $1 million question there. And the truth is, we can only guess as there are too many variables in play. First, I mean, if you look at some numbers, before the pandemic, that is 2019, total box office revenue was close to about rupees 11,000 crore. And the entire FY20, if we look at it, a total number of 1100 unique titles were released across India. Now, that was when there were no closures or lockdowns or restrictions on occupancy. For every month when the cinemas were closed, the industry lost over 1,000 crores. Today, only four states, Rajasthan, Telangana, Karnataka, and Odisha, have allowed 100% occupancy in cinemas. But the biggest positive sign that I see is with Maharashtra opening on 22nd of October. So, if there is no third wave, and let's hope and pray for the sake of humanity and not just businesses, we can see a big revival of the industry. And I will give you reasons for that. First of all, there are very few outdoor entertainment options for Indian families. Travel is costly and restricted, so cinema becomes the most convenient and preferred outing once situation becomes normal. Second, there are big spectacles lined up from now till at least end of next year. Everyone has gone ahead and announced the dates. So a lot of pent up demand for Bollywood as well as Hollywood lovers is there. Third, most multiplexes and even single screens now have their SOPs in place and they are ready to welcome film lovers. There are some very good signs of revival. And if we go by the numbers, some regional films and Shang-Chi has done. Of course, once all the states allow 100% of occupancy, it will be a big boost to consumer confidence. And most importantly, good movies will drive a lot of film buffs to theaters.
Siddharth too said it was hard to put a finger on how badly the segment has been affected, but he said there's optimism that things will indeed pick up.
It's hard to give you a number. I think the period from October to December will be a period of weaning back audiences into the habit of going to the cinemas. And I'm hoping that from Christmas onwards, from sort of December onwards, the pace picks up quite significantly and that we have a great 2022.
The looming concern facing theatres is that they are only being permitted to function with 50% capacity in most states. This is likely to be the case for at least 2 to 3 quarters. We asked Sanjeev to weigh in on how this will impact revenues.
We have opened still in a very fractured manner. We have three states which are still shut, out of which Maharashtra is the most important one, followed by Kerala and then Jammu. And even some of the states which have given us permission to open, they are only allowing us 50% capacity, such as places like Delhi. Some other states, though, have allowed 100%, like Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Rajasthan, Gujarat. And of course, if you're only allowed to open 50% of your business, your revenues will get affected. It may not be impacted so much on the weekdays where occupancy is low any which way. We hover around 30%, 35%. But basically, the capacities of cinemas and multiplexes are built for the weekends and the long weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is when people have the time to go and watch a film. And when you are restricted with only 50% capacity, you can only sell 50% seats and tickets, then of course there is chances of turning people back away and losing business and revenue. But I believe this is temporary, and we have obviously written to all state governments, requested to all of them, then since everything else is now full throttle, and with the grace of God, the numbers are very low of COVID, we should be given a permission to open our 100% capacity now.
We've given you numbers, we've given you facts, and we've given you figures. We're now giving you some heart. We have with us Baradwaj Rangan, editor at Film Companion South, to share his insight into movies in the time of a pandemic. Vijay Stara Master happened to be the first film that he watched in a theatre, and here are some excerpts from my conversation with him. We saw huge crowds thronging theatres for Master. It seems like COVID hasn't been able to keep fans away from theatres.
They call me Master, but I never faster.
Master is a very wrong example to take because first it has a big superstar and there's been a complete drought of movies for almost a year. So people are bound to come to watch that movie. So it's a combination of a year of not being able to go step out anywhere, plus the fact that such a big stars movie is coming out. So that's really not the test. The real test will happen when the movies now start coming, like, the pipeline starts opening again, and which has happened a bit in Telugu because the new Naga Chaitanya movie Love Story has done phenomenally well given the pandemic situation.
What's your take on the theatre versus OTT battle?
I think there will be a clear split between people who say, I'm going to watch this movie in the theatre and this movie in the OTT. So the big movies will always find an audience in the theatres. The smaller films will probably go to the OTTs. But then again, the OTTs are not snapping up every single movie that comes their way. They're only snapping up movies that come with a brand name attached, either a big director or a big actor or a big production house or something like that. So where are the rest of the movies going to be released? So the same cycle is going to continue, where people say, I'm going to release this movie, even if it just runs for one weekend, I'm still going to release it. So there is always going to be content because there are movies being produced. Where the party pooper element will happen is in terms of the window, which people will have to decide early, because there will be people who are going to say that it's just so much more convenient to watch movies on the OTT, and also more economical because you're already paying for the OTT. Here you can watch it at any time. So it will play party pooper to some extent, but I don't think the big movies will be affected.
And finally, we can't let you go without telling us what you thought about the new Bond film.
I watched the Bond film. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I wish it had been a little more emotional because it's kind of an emotional send-off to Bond.
Name? Bond. James Bond.
I thought it struggled a bit between trying to be an action movie, a traditional Bond movie, and a more emotional kind of Bond movie. But I enjoyed it because I watched it in a theater, an IMAX screen, 3D.
The world is arming faster than we can respond.
It was just like mind-blowing just to be there in that experience. And because
Where's 007?
it was also Daniel Craig's last movie, so there was a bit of emotion happening there. So it was nice. It was a really good experience to kind of go there. See, that's what I'm saying. See, in theater, had I seen the same Bond movie at home, I might have been a little more underwhelmed. But because the visuals are just popping at you like that in the theater, movies like Avatar or the Avengers films or Bond, or those movies will always find an audience in the theater.
Like any blockbuster movie, there's no love triangle without stiff competition between the heroes vying for the girl, or in this case, your attention. The multiplex versus OTT platform face-off has been brewing for a while. While the pandemic certainly gave OTT platforms an edge, but now with theatres reopening, will we see the silver screen make up for lost ground? Multiplexes want to return to an 8-week exclusive window from the current 4 weeks, starting April next year. Streaming platforms, on the other hand, had narrowed the gap between the two releases to 4 weeks after COVID-19 struck.
8 weeks was always a window which was maintained between theaters and other platforms prior to the pandemic. We've reduced it to 4 weeks post the pandemic because the industry has come together. Both the producers and the exhibitors have come together. The cinema companies have come together in a very collaborative manner in order to actually help each other in this time of crisis. So this is not something that we are imposing. This is something which has come about as a collaboration for a very short period of time, I think up until April next year, where we all hope that things will be back to normal and we can go back to our normal lives and normal businesses and normal business practices.
That was Sanjeev telling us where things stand as of now. But this isn't a Raju Hirani film where all is well. Streaming platforms are far from making profits. With high content costs, low average revenue per user, and piracy. We asked Siddharth to tell us how long it will be before the big money being spent on content, web originals, and digital rights for new films starts getting monetized.
I think everyone's in investment mode currently because you're building a subscriber base. And when you're building a base, you want to be able to attract more and more audiences to your platform with superior quality content. It's something that Amazon did for 20 years before they became profitable, right? But they built an incredible base around the world of people who got used to ordering things only on Amazon. And that's when profitability really kicked in. So I think the streaming industry is going through a similar period where they are in the acquisition phase and therefore they're in the investment phase. At some point of time, you will have profitability come in, I'm quite sure.
Just as your favorite actor reinvents himself or herself to keep up with the times, the multiplexes that showcase these stars are no different. PVR recently announced live streaming of games. Here's what Sanjeev had to say about multiplexes exploring new avenues to ensure sustained viewer interest.
We've always been a very experimental company as far as showing different kinds of content on the screen. We experimented with live events, we experimented with concerts, and this is another one that we are now launching, which is live streaming of games, which is something which is a phenomena which honestly even I didn't know is such a huge phenomena, but there are a lot of gamers around the country, and we've tied up with Nordic to launch the PVR Nordic Cup. And these finals and semi-finals will be actually screened at the cinemas in a few cities around the country. We're very happy that we've been able to find that niche in the market where we can tap into this gaming mania.
Multiplexes, though, are faced with a villain more dangerous than Mogambo, our inertia.
Mogambo, Joshua.
Yes, you heard right. They have the uphill task of getting you and me to dump our pajamas and get ready for an outing. The thought is getting me tired. The pandemic has changed the way we live, and Siddharth says luring audiences back into the theatre is not going to be easy.
You know, there are two big challenges. One is the challenge of the experience in a cinema hall today where you will have to be masked in the course of watching the film. And there is a 50% cap on the occupancy. And therefore, even if you've come in a group, you might have a seat between you and the person you've come with. So it won't be the most, pleasurable experience in that sense. On the other side, you've gotten used to being able to pause, rewind, fast forward, take a loo break whenever you want, watch something at your will, have subtitles on everything that you're watching, do a few chores in the middle while you pause and then come back to content. So there's been a lot of flexibility of the usage of content that's happened over the last 18 months. That was there before as well, but that's the only way we've been able to consume content in the last 18 months. So now to get back to the discipline of having to book a ticket, make the effort of getting ready, taking transport, working your way through traffic, finding parking, doing your temperature checks and sensor checks, etc., and then going in and sitting down at a seat with your mask on with an interval that sometimes might last 15 to 20 minutes, and then the whole way back home is something that I think audiences are going to have to get used to once again. I do think it'll happen. It's not like it won't. I do think that the theatrical experience is something that everyone is dying to get back to. But that's the reason I use the term weaning back, because it will be a weaning back period, whether we like it or not. And I think we should be prepared for it.
India has always been considered the country with two religions, films and cricket. With the pandemic, your place of worship for films may have changed, but the love and devotion to movies remains. What what happens in the entertainment business going forward is something that will be exciting to watch for all of us. COVID might have been an abrupt and unnecessary interval, but we're just getting started. And all we can hope for is a happy ending for every stakeholder. I'm Ratna Bhushan, and you've been listening to The Morning Brief. This episode was co-hosted, edited, and coordinated by Diya Rekhi. The audio editing and sound production of this episode was done by Swati Joshi and Varun Kapahi from Avas.com. We'll see you at the movies soon. We hope you enjoyed listening to the episode. Do send in your feedback to themorningbrief@timescript.com and do share the episode on your social media networks. The Morning Brief airs every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Thank you for listening and have a nice day ahead. All external sound clips used in this episode belong to their respective owners. Credits mentioned in the description.